Bentonville, Arkansas was a well-kept secret. That is not the case today. It is one of the fastest growing cities in America, often making one of the top places to live. In fact, it is now the fastest growing place for luxury homes in the entire country. Why is that? Well, that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today. And I can tell you that people are moving here from all over the country because they're hearing what you've heard. They're coming from San Francisco and LA. They're coming from Texas. They're coming from Chicago. They're coming from New York, from Florida, and everywhere in between because they want a little piece of this little bit of heaven that we call Bentonville. Love it. Some of them regret it. And every single one of them tells me they wish they had known this one thing before they decided to move. And that is what this video is about. This is not the tourism version of I'm living in Bentonville. This is going to be the real pros and cons of what it's really like to live in Bentonville from somebody who actually helps people relocate here all the time. I've been doing it for years. Now you're going to want to stay until con number 3 because that's the one that most people who are moving here from out of state say they wish they had known, and it catches them off guard. And if it's something that would bother you, it could wind up being a very costly mistake. Hi, I'm Brooke Sanders-Tennant. I'm a realtor here in Northwest Arkansas, and I specialize in helping people relocate to this area, mainly Bentonville, Rogers, Fayetteville, and Springdale. And I help people like you every single day. I talk to them, they call me up because they're doing exactly what you're doing right now. They're researching this area to see if it's a good fit for them. I'm not going to try to sell you on Bentonville though. I want you to realize that what I'm going to try to do here is help you understand if Bentonville is the best fit for you. Because ultimately, it doesn't matter how fabulous a city is, if it doesn't fit your lifestyle and the things that matter to you, it is not going to be a great place to live. So I'm going to give you the pros and cons today, and we're going to dive into it right now. Pro number 1 is opportunity. It's the reason why Bentonville is always on those lists for the fastest growing cities in the country. And the reason for this growth, and quite frankly, the reason that Bentonville is because Bentonville is the global headquarters for Walmart. It employs over 15,000 people, and that doesn't even touch all of the vendors and suppliers who actually have people living in this area so they can do business with Walmart. But probably the one thing you don't know about this area is that we have 2 other Fortune 500 companies that are based here, Tyson Foods and J.B. Hunt. So another reason why we see continued growth and expansion here in the Northwest Arkansas area. Okay, so let's circle back to Walmart. So you may know that they did open up a 350-acre global headquarters here about a year and a half ago. What's really cool about that is it's not only a place for their employees to come, but they are putting lots of retail space, lots of restaurant space, even a hotel in that area to draw people from all over the area here and to better the lives of all of the people that live here, not just the people of Walmart. And this fast pace and the quality of life is what seems to be bringing so many people into this area, even those that don't work for Walmart. Now, I will tell you, I do a lot of business with customers that are moving here to go to work for Walmart. And I did have someone from the Bay Area come in and want to move specifically to Bentonville, not because of Walmart, but because they wanted to live near all of the bike trails. That was the big thing for them, and they wanted to be in the center of it all. And quite frankly, the biggest growth that we're seeing right now is in Bentonville. It is spreading out into smaller areas. So if you're thinking about Bentonville, that's something you want to keep in mind, that if you're one of those people that likes to be near the hottest restaurants and the hottest shops and entertainment and what everybody's talking about, Bentonville might be a really good fit for you. Okay, pro number 2 is the school system. Bentonville is consistently ranked at the top of the school systems in the state of Arkansas. Total pro, not only because they rank very high in academics, they're also very strong in other things like athletics and the arts. So if you are someone who's moving in and you're concerned about the education your child might receive, knowing that the school district is deemed one of the top in the state is really, really important to you. Now, if you're not one of those people that has kids and you think it's not important, you want to think again, because whoever may buy your house next time, schools are going to matter. And the Bentonville school system has done a really, really good job of expanding and keeping up with the growth in this area. There are 2 smaller towns that actually now go to the Bentonville School District. They are Centerton and Bella Vista. So those are 2 towns to keep in mind if you're interested in the Bentonville school system itself. Now, I also want to remind you that when you're researching a school system, don't always just go by test scores. This is what I tell my own buyers. Yeah, test scores are important, and the ratings on the internet are also are as important as well. But what I would suggest is that if you're thinking about moving here and bringing your children with you, what I've always done, and I encourage my buyers to do, is take some time while you're on that scouting tour to actually stop by and tour a school that is in the age range where your children are. Because when you can go into that school, you get a really good feeling about whether or not these schools are set up in a way that will make your child thrive, because not every child thrives in the same school district. So that would be my one key advice when we're talking about looking for schools. And remember, good school districts always translate into higher resale when you're going to sell that house. And if you want to know which school might be best for your child or which neighborhoods feed into which schools, make sure you reach out to me, because that's something I can help you discover, and I can possibly put you in touch with some people whose children already go to school there. All right, let's go to pro number 3. If you're coming from a major metro area, it's probably going to feel like you're going to get more bang for your buck here. Now, while we don't have a lot of homes that are still in the $300,000 range, what you get for your money here is a lot more than what you would get in San Francisco, New York, Chicago, because you're going to get more square footage, you're going to get bigger yards, you're going to get more walkability. All of those things wrap up into affordability. When we talk about this area, I will tell you our average home price is going to be right around $500,000. Doesn't mean that you can't find one under, just means it might be a little bit harder. So that is something you need to think about when it comes to budget. Is Bentonville budget friendly to you? And like I said, if you're coming from a big place, this is going to look pretty good. You're also going to get a lot of upgrades that you might not get in bigger cities. Details like crown molding or high ceilings, walk-in pantries that are the size of a room. So what you may pay over $1 million for in larger markets, you're going to get under $1 million here. So you do feel like you're getting more. And many times in these newer neighborhoods especially, you're going to get amenities in that community. So pools, pickleball courts, basketball courts, tennis courts, playgrounds for your kids. So you are going to get more bang for your buck here. So that is one of the best reasons to move to Bentonville. Okay, now comes the not so fun part, the honest part, where we talk about the cons of Bentonville. Bentonville is the most expensive city in the state of Arkansas, and in Northwest Arkansas particularly. So some people, it's a little bit like sticker shock, because when you Google cost of living in Arkansas, you're getting the whole state, and you're expecting something $250,000, $300,000. Not the case in Bentonville, and so when they come here, they quickly feel like they were duped, and they're disappointed because they're not going to be able to walk to the square. But that doesn't mean that you can't live near all of the things that are wonderful in Bentonville. So if you're in that $300,000 mark, I promise you there's a couple of towns that are within 10, 15 minutes at the most that you can find something, and that includes Bella Vista, Centerton, and Rogers. And so the other thing to consider too is what really is your budget when it comes to buying a home in Bentonville or the surrounding area. Because you don't want to be house poor. You don't want to stretch, you may not want to, let me just say that again, you may not want to stretch to the ends of your budget in order to get into Bentonville proper. If your house is everything, great, but you don't want to be house poor. So what I would suggest is make sure that you get all your ducks in a row and kind of have those numbers in mind before you come here and start looking, so you aren't falling in love with a house in Bentonville and quickly realizing, I can't afford this. And speaking of budget, if you want to know what your budget would actually buy you in this area, shoot me a message. It's a 5-minute phone call, and we can help you narrow your search before you ever get here. Con number 2. Many people believe that this is a cool market. It is not. We are not in the same market that much of the rest of the country is experiencing. While we are not in the buying and selling frenzy of 2021 and 2022, the market here is still hot. And what that means is it's difficult for people who are relocation buyers. Why? Because you're not here. And you're trying to manage a job transfer and kids moving and finding a house and selling your house and figuring out where it is you want to live. All of those things come into it. And so when you come here, you don't have a lot of time to make your decision, because what's here today may not be here tomorrow and definitely won't be here 2 weeks from now, usually. Some price points have cooled a little bit. We're getting more towards a balanced market, but we are still very, very far away from a buyer's market. So what I would tell you to do is make sure you get all your ducks in a row before you come here. You want to get that pre-approval done, or if you're going to pay cash, you want to make sure that you have proof of funds so that you can show that to the seller. You want to think about what is most important to you. Is it the location? Do you have to absolutely have a certain number of bedrooms, or you have to have 2 living spaces, or there is no way in the world you're getting a small yard, you need the big dream with a couple of acres? Figure out what those touch points are, and then start looking at the different places that you're thinking about buying. And then when you're here, be ready to pull the trigger. It can be really uncomfortable because you're thinking, well, what if something better comes along? Or I like it, but I'm not sure it's exactly what I want, so I need to take a little time. You don't want to do that if you can avoid it. And let me tell you why. Okay, so I had somebody move in from Minnesota, and she came down for her home tour and to look for a house to live in. And she found one that she really, really liked, but just wanted to kind of think about it, maybe have one of her coworkers look at it. And she waited 24 hours to put in that offer. And when I called to put in the offer, there was already another offer in place. So that was just not something she was comfortable with. But we still put in the offer, put in some things that made her offer a little bit sweeter. You know, we went up a little bit in price. We shortened the inspection time, etc. And she managed to get that house by the skin of her teeth. And she did tell me, like, she would have been devastated had she not gotten this house because it hit all of the buttons. But had she waited just a little bit longer, she would have lost it. And I've had clients lose houses because they wait. So really be ready and tell yourself, hey, I may have to pull the trigger if I find the one on the day that I'm coming around to. Okay, here we are. Con number 3, the one I promised you from the start, the one that catches people off guard. Well, it's construction. There is a lot of construction and a lot of building going on. And that makes living in Bentonville a little bit frustrating because all of this growth is causing a lot of congestion. One thing that you're going to realize is that almost every major street you turn on has some sort of construction going on, whether it's on the street itself or in new subdivisions that are going up around it. And so as all these new subdivisions are coming along, we're getting more and more people onto these roads that were not built for these subdivisions to begin with. Now, the city of Bentonville is doing the best they can to keep up, and there's lots of plans to expand different roadways, and we have different alternative routes coming in. But it's going to be a few years before everything settles down here. So if you don't like congestion and construction and, you know, living in the middle of growth, Bentonville might not be the best place for you. A good example of that is that I'm currently working with a couple from Nashville, and they're relocating to the area, and they're from this area. And when they lived here back in the early 2000s, Bentonville is not quite the hustle bustle that it is now. And when we came out here, they're like, man, we just don't like all this construction. It's just too much for us. So they missed making that major financial mistake, because as soon as we started looking out here, they knew in their budget this was not where they wanted to be. And now we've moved them to Fayetteville area, and they're under contract. So think about that before you make your decision about whether or not Bentonville is for you. I definitely would say you want to drive around it, especially during peak rush hour times, if that's when you're going to be traveling, before you decide if this is the Northwest Arkansas city for you. Okay, so that's the pros and cons. So how do you know if Bentonville is right for your next move? Well, if you're someone who's relocating because you are in a corporation or your employment is important to you, you want to be close to work, probably a good fit. If you're looking for good schools, another good fit. If your budget translates well because you're coming from a major market and so you're going to get more house for your money, another good reason to move here. And if you just like the lifestyle, if you're an outdoor person and you want to be able to bike places, walk to different places, Bentonville may be for you. Who is it not for? Well, it may not be for you if you have a smaller budget. You really have to decide if you're going to get what you want in this market. It may also not be for you if you want that quintessential Arkansas lifestyle where you think everything's like a little tiny small town and everyone lives on an acre or more lot. That's probably not what you're going to find in Bentonville if you have one of those smaller budgets. So oftentimes what I say, the question isn't really, is Bentonville a great place to live? Yeah, Bentonville is a great place to live, but is it the right place for you to live? And the only way to know that is to answer these questions honestly. And once you do, you'll be able to figure out if this is the right place for you to go for your next move. And if you're thinking of moving to Bentonville or anywhere in Northwest Arkansas, I want to hear from you. So how do you get in touch with me? Well, you can call me, you can text me, you can actually just drop a comment below. I respond to all of those. I want to hear from you. And the biggest thing is, if you feel like this gave you some really good information and you want to hear more real talk about Northwest Arkansas, I hope you'll subscribe to the channel, because I drop real life content into this channel every single week. And it's not the highlight reel, it is the truth. And it's going to give you the information that you need to make the right decisions and make those informed decisions that will definitely impact your life. I'll see you back here on the next one.